So how do you try and contain them? Is that burden mostly on the offensive line? How do you add in tight ends, running backs, or is it just a full team effort?
Well, it is a full team effort. Those guys are very, very talented. They're very quick off the edge, and the fact that they have two guys, and frankly they have some depth like they've always had, even last year. Those two guys were both backups last year, so obviously they've always had depth and done a good job of developing their players. But they don't allow you to focus on just one guy. You can't focus on maybe Chip helping the Shane Ray. You always got to worry about Marcus Golden, and frankly Harold Brantley inside is also a very good pass rusher and very talented. So they make you focus on all those guys.
Does it slow those guys down when they have to think about Josh getting out of the pocket and then losing contain? Does that help you guys at all?
I hope so. Yeah, obviously the element of what Josh brings with his feet, I think is a concern to any defensive front when you're talking about pass rush. But I'm sure they're going to want to be disruptive in the pass game. They do a lot in the way of twists and games too, that can take away rush lanes, or I should say, take away quarterback rush lanes.
Like, Josh made his first start at Missouri last year. Just where do you think he's maybe the most different as a quarterback now?
Again, it comes back to decision making. He's processing information more quickly and making quicker decisions. He's also improved with his accuracy. Again, that's a constant area of focus for us. And he's making more plays with his feet, frankly, too.
Has he made the kind of progress you expected him to make just in the year and two that he's been here?
Sure. Yeah, I think. He works hard at his trade and continues to improve.
If Mac is out at center, I can just talk about what Dylan Wiseman does well, especially in terms of setting the defense and communication. Is he set to do that?
Yeah, Dylan's depending on what happens with Mac, we shouldn't skip a beat with Dylan. He's a very smart football player. He brings an element of toughness and a mentality just like Mac did.
You guys are spraying water on their arms as they were snapping. They don't like that, do they?
No, especially on a chilly day like today. But we do that every Wednesday just to practice wet balls. Nothing else?
That's it.
They have multiple guys, both Shane Ray and Marcus Golden. Doesn't allow you to focus on help to one particular guy. So they're very. They got a lot of depth. Even their inside tackles. Harold Brantley's a very good player, number 90. So again, they'll do a good job of creating one-on-one matchups and taking advantage of those. And we just got to play with great technique and help when we can.
Do they flip their ends any?
Yeah, they have a couple different systems where, there are times they play three defensive ends in one defensive front, and obviously obvious pass situations, and those guys are very active. They're deep. They rotate guys in quite a bit, not just number 33 and number 56 Shane Ray, but you'll see their backups in quite a bit, and they're also really good players.
I know Dobbs played a lot against Alabama, but do you think this is his biggest challenge?
Well, yeah, these guys are an outstanding defense, and they rank towards the top in the conference in many, if not all, statistical categories. So it presents a great challenge for us offensively, yes.
Are you concerned at all that your receiving corps is a little bit banged up?
No, those guys, again, we have pretty good depth. They all have a good understanding of the scheme, and we've had guys step up at various times, and we rotate them quite a bit anyway, so they all have a lot of experience and shouldn't skip a beat there.
With the talent that Mizzou has on that defensive line and maybe having to start Dylan at center, how important is it for him to be able to call the right protections and things like that?
Yeah, Dylan's a smart football player and has a very good understanding of the schemes we run. Things would not change at all if he ends up playing for us.
Just as a whole, Missouri's defense, especially their ends, are pretty, well known. What kind of challenge is that going to be for you guys?
Again, they're good football players and with good depth, and typically you have a bell cow of the group. Well, they have multiple guys who you need to focus your attention on. So we've, again, as always, placed an emphasis on making sure we use proper technique, but also having a system of helps and chips and all those different things that go into protecting the passer.
What would you have thought in the summer if someone told you that Jashawn Robertson would be the only player to start every game on the O-line?
I hadn't even thought of that till you mention it right now. I know we're on, our 6th or 7th different starting lineup with the offensive line. Again, assuming Matt can't go. I'm not sure what his status is right now. But it's from training camp on. We've been working a lot of different rotations, putting guys at a lot of different positions. So our guys are capable of handling such a situation.
Should have been asked this already, but what else impresses you about Missouri and just what do they do well schematically?
They play really hard. I know Coach Steckel really well. I GA'd for him way back when I first got into college coaching. He's their defensive coordinator, and he's always placing emphasis on playing with great effort, just like we do offensively. So we've challenged our guys that it's our style of play, our effort versus their style of play, and that's evident on video. They're also really good tacklers. They don't miss a lot of open field tackles, and they're violent on contact. So I think between playing hard and being good tacklers, they do not allow many explosive plays. They make you earn every yard you're going to get.
If Mac is out, do you know if the number 2 center would be Saturday?
We've trained, again, we have a lot of guys that train at multiple positions. Marcus Jackson has the ability to play center. Coleman Thomas has the ability to play center, as does Kyler Kerberson.
What, as far as just coordinating the whole offense around that, when around the center, basically, how much sort of goes into that when you've got to make a switch at that position?
It's not as big a deal as some people make it out to be. Again, Dylan's got a lot of invested reps in practice, and I don't anticipate if he is playing, I don't anticipate any drop off there.
I think Kyler had mentioned something once about you guys giving I don't know if you do it specifically or if it's who does it, but giving the offensive line a test on Friday where they have to know everyone's blocks. Could you kind of talk about that a little?
Yeah, almost every position, I should say, almost every position takes a test on Friday, but particularly with the offensive line, when they take their test, if you're the right guard, you're not just filling in the right guard's assignment. You need to know what every other guy on the offensive line does against every front, every blitz, you name it. So it's part of developing our guys, and it's part of knowing the scheme and knowing where your help is and knowing where the strengths and weaknesses are. And offensive line typically gets a reputation for being a bunch of meatheads, but the reality is they're a very intelligent group and have very good football intelligence.